Councilor Wright?
Here.
Mayor Greifstein?
I am here, thank you. The invocation and pledge of allegiance this evening will be led by Councilman Fleming. I invite you to stand if you would like.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion and also allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of community. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Up first, we have approval of the agenda. Can I please get a motion to add certificates of completion for the Citizens Academy under presentations?
Your Honor,
Yes.
so moved.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Yes.
support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Motion carries. That has been added. Are there any other additions or deletions?
Your Honor, this is not an addition or deletion, but I don't know if our microphones are on for the audience. Can you guys hear us?
Can you hear me?
Test. Hello.
Yeah, I'm talking loud.
So we're going to pause for a moment and see if we can make sure that they're working.
I think she can hear us.
Yes, they're working, I think.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, are there any additions or deletions?
No.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Okay, seeing none, then we're going to move on to the first item, which is the presentation. So we are going to be presenting the awards for the residents who have completed the Citizens Academy. Mrs. Marsh, do you want to just have them? Oh, okay. These are in no specific order. Jeremy Pollan. Thank you for doing that, for taking the class. And then Eugene Pollan. Thank you. We are going to get a group picture, so don't leave. Anita Burgess. Siona Hall. Siona. Sorry, thank you. Please correct me if I say it wrong. Kaimin Koo. Karen Barnes. Kathleen Simpson. Not here. All right. We will be getting those from people who are not here. Michael Covert. Patty S. Thank you. Regina Jessica Scavo. Sandra Klein. Darren Clement. Jane Hay. So thank you for doing it. If everyone who did participate can just come, we're going to do a really quick photo. There are two people who did not make it this evening, but we are going to get them their certificates. And I want to encourage everyone next time we offer this program to sign up. All right, thank you. We're going to do like a 2-minute break to do those.
With or without council?
Do we want us like behind? We can go behind.
We can come behind.
Next up, we have meeting open to the public. This is the opportunity for the public to speak. I ask that you speak at the podium, that you address me, that you keep your comments to 3 minutes, give your name, address, any relationship to the city, and with that, the floor is yours.
Oakland County clerks are approving my demands upon the city of Madison Heights to make copies of documents, reports, photographs that start with me. Police of Pontiac, documents of issue of me, Dennis Winkler, Ferndale Police. Madison Heights is Pontiac, Ferndale. Me is Peter Taylor, who is suing Mayor of Madison Heights.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak this evening?
Good evening. I'm Kathy Sapia, resident of Dartmouth Street. We've met before. I'm just here to keep the opposition to the gas station at Dartmouth expansion on the agenda in your meeting minutes, so you don't forget about us. Last week, I called the Planning Commission to discuss the situation and was told they're waiting on the DTE analysis. And I spoke to the neighbors about that, and the few neighbors that live on that end of the street said, yeah, there were trucks, people measuring stuff, digging, painting lines, a lot of activity. It seems like a lot of progression, expansion. Today, a rainy day activity, I was reading my Sports Illustrated, and there's a university president who's academically minded. He's trying to deal with the athletic department. If I can just read you one sentence. The president is a legal scholar specializing in housing. His research often focused on how closely the real estate we own and the state of our neighborhoods correlate with life opportunities. You know, the people on Dartmouth, Karam Drive, and Bel Air, we're a neighborhood, as we mentioned before. We don't want to be part of an expanded gas station complex. I'd just like to leave you with a little story. When I was a kid, I always had earaches. We'd go to my grandfather's house on a lake, and I'd beg my mom, just let me go in the water. I'm just going to go up to my knees. You know, I won't get wet. And I liken that to the first thing we got, the public noticed they were just going to, you know, take care of the alley. Then after a while, I say, oh, just let me get up to my waist. I'll be okay. Let me get up to my waist. And I would like to liken that to the detailed proposed new drive-through window with 2 to 3 lanes in a parking lot and a house behind the gas station being excavated. And then, you know what happened. I said, just let me get to my shoulders. I'll keep my head wet, or I'll keep my head dry. It's like the DTE analysis. And before you knew it, I got dunked. Don't let Dartmouth get dunked. Dunk the gas station expansion proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak this evening?
Good evening, everyone. My name is David Duchesne, resident on Edward Street in 12 Mile. I have some issues with some neighbors. It's a business that live next door to me. Depending on who you talk to, looking up at this business, it's called Iced Up Records. They make videos And we're not just talking videos, we're talking foul videos, women parts, men parts, that type of thing. I have grandkids that come over. Me and my wife, we've lived in Madison Heights. For 13 years, we chose Madison Heights because of the people, the community. We don't even want to have barbecues anymore. We're scared to have our grandchildren over because we don't know when these videos are going to start. It's really strange. When I call the police, they seem to stop as soon as I hang up the phone. I was told by the police when I'm viewing this activity, because there's like 8 or 10, 12, 15 last week in their parking lot right next door to my wall, talking about the N-word, taking the man's D, stick it in the woman's P.
Okay, sir,
I
sir,
know,
sir, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
But I understand you're upset, and
Yes.
I realize you're trying to keep it clean.
Right.
Um,
I'm just trying to give you an idea of what we hear.
Yeah, so,
We
so this,
listen to.
this is news to me. I don't know about anybody else, this is news to me, but you know where this is. Can you, not publicly, but can you write down your address, the address of this business?
Right.
The name of this business, because I've never heard of it?
Right.
If you could give us that information,
Right.
I will have it looked into.
Okay.
I will have it looked into. The fact that you're trying to keep it clean, I very much appreciate it, but,
I got it.
okay, but if you, and not for the public, but if you can write down your name, your address,
Right.
your contact, and the address of this place,
Okay.
okay? I will look into it.
I'm, to go along, we are kind of in fear of retaliation.
Again, this is news to me. This is news to me, so until I actually have an address or something, I can't look
Okay.
into it. But if you could do that, and the gentleman at the back in the plaid shirt, if you can write down your name, address, if you can give him the pertinent information, it will not be shared publicly.
Okay.
All right,
Will
thank
do.
you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak this evening?
I'm short. Hello, everyone. My name's Nicole Fox. I live on Cynthia Street, or Cynthia Avenue. Part of the Human Relations and Equity Commission, also part of the Environmental Citizens Committee. And I'm also a parent of a middle schooler at Page Middle School and an elementary student at Simons Elementary. And I had 4 things that I wanted to talk about today. One, over this past weekend, I hosted our 8th annual block party. We missed a year because of COVID, but I wanted to say special thanks to the police department for getting that request through and approved. It was actually approved the same day, which was very exciting. And also thanking DPS for helping out, dropping off the roadblocks and picking those up. It was actually early this morning that the roadblocks got picked up. So since 2015, we've been hosting the event to connect with neighbors and build community. And I'm really grateful to live in a city that offers an opportunity like that. The second item, so also this weekend, the HREC, the Human Relations and Equity Commission, hosted a native plant sale fundraiser. Again, gratitude to DPS. We had multiple communications to ensure everything went smooth with the location equipment, and that went really, really well with DPS. Another thanks goes to the whole HREC team. Leading up to and during the event, it was just a really lovely day. We all got to interact with the community in really good ways. I was highlighting some of the successes, and What stood out to me was the many conversations that communities members were having with each other over their passion around plants and around the ecosystem. Also, we were also a success in supporting a small business, the grower that we work with, that's East Michigan Natives LLC, and also highlighting partnership in that. And of course, we raised funds to support good work in the city. The third item, as a parent, I've become more and more aware of the safety as it relates to biking and walking in our city. There's a lot of opportunity in our city for enhancing the visibility of our crosswalks on main roads and within our neighborhoods, especially on our routes where young people are walking to school. The U.S. Department of Transportation says that crosswalk visibility enhancements can reduce crashes by 23 to 48%. And I can share this document by email later on if anybody wants it. Some of the suggested enhancements include high visibility marking, which improves the visibility of the crosswalk compared to the standard parallel lines. I know a lot of the lines we have here in the city are just the two straight across, as opposed to having multiple lines in between. It really raises the visibility. Also having parking restriction that's on the crosswalk approach, like as you approach the crosswalk, that improves the sight lines for motorists and pedestrians. Also, advanced stop or yield markings, and those could also include yield for pedestrian in particular. And other signs related reduce the risk of multiple threat crash. Curb extension is also an option that improves sight distance between drivers and pedestrians and
Okay,
narrows crossing.
Ms. Fox, sorry, that's the 3-minute
Okay.
mark. Can you take 10 seconds to maybe do your fourth point? And if you want to email that document to us, we can forward that on to our traffic study department. or
Yeah,
group.
so my fourth point was about the marijuana businesses. I saw that was on the agenda. I have a prevention background, and I know that increasing access, increasing businesses related to marijuana actually does affect use rates. So I pulled together some data and information around that too.
Okay.
we can
If you
skip
want
just
to, if you want to send that to us?
Sure.
Yeah, okay, thank you. All right, is there anyone else?
We have some with me.
If you want to give them to me, then I will take them, thank you. I said people don't usually go over the 3-minute mark. All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak this evening? All right, seeing no one, I am going to close public comment. There's nothing sent in? Okay. All right, and we're going to move to the consent agenda. So this evening, we have 4 items on the consent agenda. There is from the Director of Public Services, the replacement of Patrol Car 106. There is the resolution of designation of street administrator, and there is the 23-24 RCOC winter maintenance contract, as well as the regular council meeting minutes from September 11th. So can I please get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Yes?
support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those against say no. Motion carries, all approved. Next up, we have reports. The first is from the city clerk. It's the agreement for election services between Oakland County, Madison Heights, and Royal Oak for early voting.
With the passage of Proposal 22-2, early voting is now a requirement in the state constitution. Oakland County is taking a lead in most of the facilitation for the early voting sites in the county, along with purchasing any necessary equipment and training of election workers. The local communities are responsible for the cost of staffing and public notifications, along with the joint administration of the early voting sites when it opens. There are financial incentives to communities for signing a joint agreement, including the county picking up the cost of equipment through a state grant accessible to county governments. This level of funding is not available to communities that do standalone early voting. The City of Madison Heights and Royal Oak have been partnered for an early voting site. The early voting site will be the Royal Oak Senior Community Center at 3500 Morelos Avenue, north of 13 Mile Road, east of Crooks. Both Royal Oak and Madison Heights city clerks, city administrators, and Oakland County preliminarily have agreed upon this location. This location is convenient for both communities' residents. It has adequate parking, it's handicapped accessible, and it has proper data infrastructure. It's also available as a dedicated location and allows each city to share the load when administrating early voting for each election. In addition, another early voting site will be offered for all participating community voters at the Waterford Oaks Activity Center, which Oakland County will be overseeing. Early voting will be for 9 days, beginning the second Saturday prior to each election. The hours will be 8:30 to 4:30 every day except Thursdays, when the hours will be noon to 8. Due to the upcoming election and Oakland County's desire to hold early voting this October, staff and I recommend that council approve the election services agreement between Oakland County, Madison Heights, and Royal Oak. The city attorney has already reviewed and approved this contract language.
All right, thank you. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that council approves the agreement for election services between Oakland County, Madison Heights, and Royal Oak, and that we authorize the city clerk to sign on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Yes.
support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor.
Yes.
Just kind of wondering if this agreement going forward can at least alternate between the cities. I feel like over the years, whenever Madison Heights has been partnered with Royal Oak, it's always been with Royal Oak. Whether it's even our representatives in the House, whether it's anything, we're always the, the second-hand citizen, second-class citizen. And there are many of our residents who won't even go into Royal Oak because of the traffic and parking and so many challenges. I know this site doesn't have the parking challenge and it's not downtown, but I just want to confirm that going forward, if we're in a type of agreement like this, we can alternate on elections and have early voting in Madison Heights next year and continue to alternate back and forth in a real partnership with Royal Oak instead of just having early voting in Royal Oak in perpetuity.
Your Honor. Unfortunately, if we're going to partner with Oakland County, they want the sites to be the hours, the location, and the availability for every election at the same location for simplicity for the voters so they're not confused where they need to go. This is not a permanent contract. If it's something that the council would like to do as a standalone, we can still do that as a city. But to be in the partnership, we had to agree on one location. That would be a permanent location. However, we are a backup site should there be something wrong with like they're having their parking lot redone or they can't hold the election for that period.
Well, and just to add on to that, if we're a standalone site, then the city is responsible for buying the extra equipment and those types of things for early voting. And we do still have the early voting. Well, it's not necessarily called early voting, but you can still vote absentee now for no reason in Michigan. And the clerk's office is here at least the Saturday before the election already at City Hall. And we have voting, how many days ahead of time?
9 days.
No, here. in
Oh,
City
here.
Hall.
Oh, it starts 30 days prior to the election. Or 45 days, I'm sorry, prior to the election.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll support it for this year and for ongoing, but it does bother me and should bother our residents that we have a brand-new facility here that we want to drive people to, and by default, the selection went to early voting in Royal Oak. So I'd like to reassess that next year and beyond, and hopefully get to some sort of a cadence where we can at least offer it to our residents in our city, in our building, at least alternating in some sort of fashion. I'm not saying we should do our own, because we should absolutely take advantage of this. I just don't want it to be permanently at Royal Oak site in an ongoing basis, so.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion?
Yeah. I'm going to vote yes for this, even though that I don't like that it's at that far either, because we do have a lot of residents who the whole point of this early voting portion of it was that they could make it to the polls, you know. And a lot of the people in our city, they even complain that they can't make it to 13 Mile and John R. Now you're asking them to go further than that just to vote. So, I mean, I would like to see, I mean, we cannot provide any transportation as far as I'm concerned, is that right?
That is correct.
Right, so, to me, I'm going to vote for it because it gives them 9 more days to get to the polls, but I think in the future, we really need to have something close to our city.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I just want to reiterate that if a resident or voter has problems getting physically to a polling location, we still have the absentee ballot voting system in place in Michigan. It's really an easy process. You just call our office, go online, apply through the Secretary of State's office, and fill out an application, and we can mail you your ballot. And with the new changes, with the Proposal 22-2, all postage is paid for by the state of Michigan now for the application as well as the ballot that's returned.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion, questions, comments? Clerk, can you maybe just give us a little bit of a background? If it's so easy to vote here, why would I want to go to Royal Oak?
It's just a convenience to do it for our voters. It's required now by the state constitution that we offer the early voting for the 9 days.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor?
Yes,
There's also a percentage of people who want to vote in person,
person.
but may have a conflict on election day.
right.
And so this early voting takes, you know, it allows them to do that, to vote in person without doing a mail-in ballot. But, yeah, my concern is just if it's always in Royal Oak, those people may just decide not to vote, because it's not
Well,
as.
just one more clarification. So under that scenario, you can still come to the
Yeah.
clerk's office 30 days ahead of the election during our city hall hours and vote at a secured booth in the hallway. Nobody's looking over your shoulder, so you can still vote in person here. It's just not called early voting as this is called under the state constitution.
Yeah, the difference would be a lot of feedback that was received over the last presidential election is people wanted to actually physically put their ballots in a tabulator. The state of Michigan has never allowed that before for absentee voting. If you go to an early voting location, you can actually put it into the tabulator. Here at City Hall, you would fill out an absentee ballot, and then we would take that ballot, and it would be in a secured envelope in a locked container until Election Day to be tabulated.
Okay, so just to clarify what you said, if you want to physically take your ballot and put it into the machine, you need to do it on Election Day, or you need to do it at this specific early voting in Royal Oak? Okay, so that would be the reason why. Okay. Is there any other questions, discussion? Okay, I'm going to vote in favor of it. I agree with Mr. Bliss and Mr. Fleming that it would be nice if we had our own, but I also understand that the way the funding is working, we do not. So all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Motion carries 7-0. And then we've also got the recycling cart grant agreement with Eagle and the recycling partnership.
As part of the 2024 strategic plan, the City Council approved directing staff to work on a recycling grant to provide residents with a universal rollout of recycling carts. This item was not included in the 2024 budget, as we only planned to do it if we received grant funding. After the strategic planning meeting, staff began researching funding opportunities to purchase recycling carts. Staff found 2 funding opportunities, one from the Recycling Partnership, which is a nonprofit that offers technical assistance to communities that implement recycling programs. And the other funding opportunity was from the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy, also known as EGLE, Materials Management Division. On August the 30th, 2023, staff was notified that we were awarded $403,200 to purchase recycling carts. The grant comes with 2 stipulations. First, that the city offers a 20% match for the grant, and 2, that we do a universal rollout of trash carts. In addition to this EAGLE grant, the Recycling Partnership awarded the city $105,600 to cover the 20% match. The city would be responsible for purchasing the trash carts in addition and paying the assembly and distribution of both the trash and recycling carts. The cost of this program would be $540,000. Should council not want to allocate the $540,000 in the upcoming budget, that would be fiscal year 2025, then we need to decline the grant at this time. This project will all in total cost $1,036,800. $509,200 of that will be grant funded, and $540,000 of that would come from the city's general fund. Pending council approval and availability of the carts, we will plan the rollout of this program in the summer of 2024. Before this rollout, staff will develop an opt-out program for residents who have already purchased trash and recycling carts. Therefore, staff and I recommend that council accept both grant awards for $403,200 from the Michigan Eagle and $105,600 from the Recycling Partnership, and allow the city manager to sign the grant agreement on behalf of the city. Staff also recommends that council allocate the $540,000 to be allocated to the fiscal year 2025 budget to cover the cost of the trash carts and assembly and delivery of 19,200 carts to 9,600 households.
All right, thank you. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that council accepts both grant awards of $403,200 from Michigan Eagle and $105,600 from the Recycling Partnership, and allow the city manager to sign the grant agreement on behalf of the city. Before I finish the rest of this, do we need to have a budget number to allocate the budget?
No, because that's technically next year's budget.
Okay.
So you'll I just wanted council to know that when the budget is before you in April, this has to be in the budget, so it can't be on the cutting block.
In addition, I move that council allocates $540,000 to be added to the FY 2025 budget to cover the cost of trash carts and assembly and delivery of the 19,200 carts and 9,600 households.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'll support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor.
Yes.
I'll just note that, the Environmental Citizens Committee talked about this for a long time, and lots of conversations have happened over the years about how can we, encourage recycling more and do various things like this. And so this is a great way to encourage recycling, encourage the city residents to participate in that. And I've also heard a ton of times, Royal Oak got those carts, they got this, they got that. And so this is a way to deliver that. We are going to be able to have trash carts and recycling carts for everybody in all the residents. Additionally, one of the big things that we hear a lot is, there's rats, right? How can we fix the rat problem? And one of the big things with rat problem is that it is a human behavioral problem that often will cause rats. Not that we create rats, but because we don't necessarily always take care of, put our trash away. We don't necessarily always do some of the things that would prevent a hospitable environment for rats to grow and thrive. And having closed and contained recycling and trash bins makes a big difference for that. So I'm really excited about this, and I think that our residents will see an improvement, see something, improvement for themselves. I know I personally had already bought the carts and everything, so I'm not going to benefit from this personally, but I'm really glad that the city residents will benefit from these new carts and recycling bins. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there any other comments, discussion?
Your Honor.
Yes.
So I'm torn with this one. $500,000 is a playscape. There are other ways that we could spend it. I do agree as it relates to the rat problem, but I worry, and I'd like to understand a little bit more about the opt-out program, because the city's official stance, other than recycling, like the small recycling bins being delivered, when we first launched recycling, probably 30 years ago, other than that, the city's official policy has been everybody buys their own trash and recycling. And so everybody has cans all across. We probably have 1,000 or so of these exact cans already purchased by residents for not a small amount of money. And so I just want to understand what that opt-out program is. Are we giving those residents who've already bought these exact cans the money back for it? Are they getting a second can? Like, how are we treating them fairly? Because we directly told them that they needed to buy it if they wanted it.
So we haven't developed the program yet. We were waiting to get council feedback tonight, but we do not have the funds to reimburse back all those people. Half of this money is coming from a grant, and the grant does not allow for reimbursement. But we have been talking about ways, if everybody wants the second set of trash cans and recycling bins, they can have them. If they've already purchased them, maybe doing some type of, I'm not even sure what kind of program, but maybe a gift card type program or a rebate type program for a certain amount, but we don't have the funds to refund all of the purchase, and some of the trash carts are up to 5 to 10 years old at this point. But we haven't worked out the details of that yet. But the grant does not cover a cash rebate back to everyone who bought the recycling carts.
Your Honor, I have a follow-up question. So what we're voting on today is to just move forward with matching the funding to accept the grant, and then we're going to develop a program after that? Is that how I'm understanding it?
Yes. So the main reason this is before you today is because the city is under an obligation to either accept this grant or deny it, so the state can give the money to another community that applied for it. And so we, staff, does not want to sign up for a $500,000 grant if we can't live up to the second stipulation of the grant, which is buying the trash carts. So trash carts are very costly. It isn't anything that staff was pushing for to put in the budget otherwise, because to Mark's point, we've had better uses for this money throughout the budget process. So it's a discussion that we hear all the time as staff, council hears all the time as staff, about the trash carts and the recycling carts. I know there have been several people, quite a few people actually, that have already bought these, and it's not going to be 100% rebate. They're probably not going to think that it's 100% fair, but this is our opportunity to roll out the trash recycling cart toter program. So if city council ever wants to do it, I feel like now is the time, because we do have this grant paying half of the money. Otherwise, we would be on the hook for the entire bit, or the residents would have to buy it all. So we don't want to accept the grant and tie up funds for a grant that we can't use, because as one of the things that the participants in the Citizens Academy heard earlier tonight, we are very successful writing grants. One of the many reasons we're very successful at writing grants is we take the time to build the relationships. We call the people ahead of time. We investigate the grants. And I want to say a special thanks to Adam, regardless of how you voted today, because he spent countless hours getting to know the people at Eagle, getting to talk to the people at the Recycling Partnership, and making sure that we were doing what we needed to get the grant. So I don't want to accept the grant, tie up the funds, and then have council say, we don't want to spend the $500,000 on trash carts. No, thank you. We want to turn the grant down, because that's really going to hurt our chances for other grant opportunities that these same people are going to have. So I just wanted everybody to be on the same page and everybody kind of understand where we are and get like the verbal commitment that this truly is what we're doing, and make sure that everybody understands that this is what we're doing. The rebate program, or I shouldn't even call it a rebate program because it's not going to be that, but the program that we use for people that have already bought carts, I don't know what that is. I'm open to suggestions. I know a straight refund is not financially feasible. So I'll go ahead and put that out there. And if that's the deal breaker, it's not going to, upset us if you don't want to do this program, but that's that.
I have just one more follow-up question.
Sure, go ahead.
if I may. So this is an opportunity to give trash cans to like all the residents and perhaps make it not be cost prohibitive. Am I understanding that right?
Every resident would be offered a recycling cart or toter and a trash cart or toter. These are the large ones. The trash cans, I think, are 96 gallon, and the recycling bins, I think, are 64. They're the ones on wheels. They're relatively easy to push out. I can push both mine to the street and pull them both back at the same time. And so that would be offered to everybody. I would be somebody, I don't need 2 trash cans. So if you offered me a second trash can, I'm going to tell you no thanks. I don't care if you're giving me back my money. I don't want to take up the space. But if somebody did want them, they could get them, because the grant is going to cover that. But if they want a straight up refund for the recycling toter and trash can that they probably already bought, and to someone's point here, they're not cheap. They're not going to get a cash check back from the city for that amount. We will try to think up something, but that something, I don't know what is. We have not even started to brainstorm that really, because we just received the grant at the end of August, and we brought it to council to see where council's mindset was. This typically would be something we'd talk about during strategic planning, but the timing is off, and we need to have an answer to either accept the grant or not.
Thank you. Are there any other questions, comments, anything? Okay, so I'm going to be voting yes on this. I actually bought the recycling toter, and that was 3 years ago. And I think that they'd been around for 2 or 3 years because it was something that was being offered at an expense to residents not long after I came on to council. And at the time, we chose not to get it, and then a couple of years ago, we decided that we would. So we're 3 years into ours, and I believe they come with a 10-year guarantee on them. So, getting a second one isn't the end of the world, and if you had the money to buy them in the last 5 years, then you had the money to buy them. So I think we should see if we can find something for people who did purchase them, but I think that really the big push for me on this is the rodent issue, and having something like this which will help to decrease the amount of garbage that's out there and the amount of rodents. So those are my thoughts. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no.
No.
So this passes 6-1. And then next up, we have bid awards purchases from the Director of Public Services. This is the DeQuinder street lighting.
In the 2018 goal plan, we identified ways to improve pedestrian safety on DeQuinder Road, particularly the resident corridor between 11 and 13 Mile roads. This goal was prompted by several pedestrian safety incidents, and at 45 miles per hour north of 11 Mile, DeQuinder has the highest posted speed limit of the city's surface streets, making it a priority for safety management. This section of DeQuinder also has no streetlights on the Madison Heights side, except for the 1 or 2 that were added over the years between 11 and 12 Mile. Adequate street lighting is primarily driver of both vehicular and pedestrian safety in a high-density suburban environment. Upon recognizing the significant savings that the LED conversion had afforded the city, the addition of streetlights on DeQuinder Road was included in the capital improvement plan and has been funded in the 2024 budget. Staff reached out to DTE Community Lighting and were provided 3 cost options: decorative teardrop fixtures on decorative poles, standard Cobra fixtures on steel poles with a concrete foundation, and a direct berry fiberglass pole with a standard roadway luminaire. This third option was the most cost-effective and satisfies 2 primary requirements. It is traffic safe, providing a necessary breakaway if hit by a car, and it had a standard stock option for DTE, meaning they provide replacement and installation at no additional cost in the event of an accident. The plan was developed to provide 53 evenly spaced streetlights on DeQuinder Road between 11 and 13 Mile. If council wishes to approve this purchase, we need 2 separate motions. The first one is a budget amendment in the amount of $12,397 to account 202-474-987-0000. This would require a vote of supermajority. And I will also add that this is the city's major street fund, which is funded through the state of Michigan gas tax. And also, the second motion would be to approve the installation of street lighting on DeQuinder Road at the cost of $232,397 as presented, and authorize the city manager to request and execute an agreement for municipal street lighting through DTE.
All right, thank you. So this requires 2 motions. One is a budget amendment, and then the other is the regular vote. So can I get a motion from council, please?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that we approve a budget amendment in the amount of $12,397 to account 202-474-987-0000.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Yes.
support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Motion carries. And then for the second, can I get a motion for that, please?
Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Motion to approve the installation of street lighting on DeQuinder Road at the cost of $232,397 as presented, and authorize the city manager to request and execute an agreement for municipal street lighting through DTE.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor, I'll support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those against say no. Motion carries. And then next up, we have ordinances, 2196, the medical marijuana facilities amendment.
In accordance with council's motion to approve the recommendation from the MMRMA Special Counsel regarding the resolution of litigation in the matters of Arctic Fox LLC versus the City of Madison Heights and 305 North Euclid LLC versus the City of Madison Heights, 2 ordinance amendments are required. If council approves the first reading, the second reading will be scheduled for October 23rd of 2023. Ordinance 2196 amends Article 16, Medical Marijuana Facilities, Section 7-305D, license requirements, to adjust the number of medical marijuana facility license for grower Class C, processor and provisioning center for 3 to 5, and the revision also classifies that if a license is vacated or revoked, the city is not required to reissue such a license to the alternate party. It would be at the council's discretion to leave that license open indefinitely or seek applicants for it. Revisions to the green zone map regarding the allowable locations for marijuana license within the city are planned to be addressed after the second reading of the ordinance amendments via a separate authorizing resolution.
All right, thank you. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that we adopt ordinance 2196 on first reading and schedule the second reading for October 23rd.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I will support.
All right, thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Is there any other discussion? All right, seeing none, clerk, can you please do a roll call?
Yes. Councilwoman Aaron,
Yes.
Mayor Pretend Bliss,
Yes.
Councilman Fleming,
Yes.
Councilor Rohrbach,
No.
Councilman Soltis,
No.
Councilor Wright,
No.
Mayor Grasstein.
I vote yes, this carries 4-3. Next up is ordinance 2197, marijuana licensing amendment.
In accordance with council's motion to approve the recommendation from the MMRMA Special Counsel regarding the resolution of litigation, 2 ordinance amendments are required. You just approved the first one. So the second one is also on first reading, with the second reading scheduled for October the 23rd. Ordinance 2197 will revise Article 17, marijuana establishments, Section 7-405E, licensing requirement, to adjust the number of adult-use recreational marijuana establishment license for processor and retailer from 3 to 5. Additionally, Class C grow license would be modified from 15 to 25. This provision mentioned clarification language related to the vacating or revoking of license is also included in the marijuana establishment license in this amendment.
All right, thank you. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that we adopt ordinance 2197 on first reading and schedule the second reading for October 23rd.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Yes?
I support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. I will do a roll call on this. Is there
Please.
any discussion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'm just going to note that I disagree with this strongly. You know, when we created our green zone map and talked about establishing initially 2 and then for potentially 3 licenses, it was I was in favor of that. And when we established that green zone map, and we talked about it, I said to people, this is the map. This is where you have to be, and this is where you need to establish your business if you want to be participating in it, and this is our process, and that is it. There are no other options. And I am very disappointed that the majority of council are not sticking to that original kind of oath to our people. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there any other discussion?
Your Honor?
Yes.
Just to point out for the residents who might be shocked by this discussion, the whole reason we have to do this, the city was sued, and so as a part of the settlement, instead of spending a lot of money of the city's taxpayer funds to be able to fight it, part of the settlement allows us to recoup and bring in money as opposed to spending it to fight it and potentially losing in the same lawsuit. So I support it, not because I'm enthusiastic about it, but because we're taking the recommendation of our legal counsel and making that decision. So I do support it.
All right, thank you. Is there any other discussion, any comments?
Your Honor, yeah, I feel the same as Mayor Pro Tem Bliss. You know, there's, you know, right now, the current marijuana establishments have a CAB, which is basically a citizen, community advisory board that basically contributes to a lot of our events, like Trail Tunes. The HRAC has events that they contribute to, and also puts in a lot of money into our budget that otherwise would not be available for other projects. And even though that we do have community organizations who do promote, and we help them, we do joint projects with them to make awareness for youth and marijuana and stuff like that, and the effects of marijuana. But those are retail environments and also medical marijuana that people use to treat illnesses, and I think it's good for those people who can use those alternative medicines. So I think this is a good thing for the community, really, overall, all around. And I also want to mention that the map that we do have is not really changing all that much. It's the same amount of total that we've had in the past. The map is, that I hope that it's going to be very similar to how that's my thought on it. And that I've seen the map that we have currently, and it's, these are still going in places that the map still supports right now, so that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Mr. Soltis, you had
Yeah,
something?
Your Honor, so I was against this from the very beginning. I had no qualms about it. I never voted for it. And so I think if we didn't even have it, then we wouldn't be in this mess and being sued anyhow. And so, as far as I'm concerned, we got ourselves in this mess, and now we have to pay to get out of it. But I obviously won't vote for it.
All right, thank you. Is there any other discussion?
Your Honor?
Yes.
I just wanted to add my sentiment to why I'd be voting no for this, just more so to the point. We've seen two examples of how it can be a slippery slope and how if we give a little, it can continue to go. I mean, we just heard that from one of our residents and asking us not to, in addition to the fact that, we heard from another resident talking about how, increasing the proximity and the access makes it more available to the kids, which is the opposite of what we want to do. So I think that while I think adults need to manage themselves, and I don't think we should be in the job of managing adults. I do think that I'll be voting no on this just because 3 was the number, and, if we go to 5.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I was going to save my comments for closing comments. However, as I sit and I listen to other counsel, I must say that when this was brought to me, I was not in favor. I was really apprehensive about having more marijuana establishments here in the city. As many may not or may know, that my son is a part of CADCA, which is the Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America. He is one of the youngest presenters for CADCA. When this came about, I had to talk with my child and let him know why I would be voting yes for this. That was a hard conversation, because how can you have a child that is anti-drug, yet his mom is voting yes to have more marijuana establishments? But my reasons for voting yes was because when we look at the lawsuit and we look at the fact that the city was going to end up having to pay out X amount of dollars, where were we going to recoup those monies from? Our property taxes, our taxes. We as residents would have to pay for this lawsuit. When we looked at it and they came back and they began to offer other items for us where we can take that money and we can use those monies and those fundings. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find it. But we can use that money for other things that we need. If we're looking at our public safety, if we're looking at we're looking at our school systems, being able to offer maybe dispatch furniture for our police department, or getting ballistic shields for our gun range, or actually getting a school resource officer down at the school districts. You know, maybe many of you didn't know, but as soon as school started, the Madison district had an incident where they were threatened. So having a resource officer that could protect our kids, that was one of the reasons why I said, well, maybe I'm not totally for this, but if we can take funding to help build our community, then I feel that this is a project that will be best for us. And when I explained all of this to my son, and my son said that he understood, then that gave me relief to say I will vote yes for this project.
All right, thank you. Anyone else wants to speak on this?
Your Honor, I just wanted to add that, if I could, I just wanted to add that, you know, this project is, I think it means a lot to everyone here, and it's a very passionate topic, but the topic of litigation is something that comes up often or at times for the city, and we've pushed back on less. So, I mean, I guess want to just say that. We pushed back on less to spend more to push back on less. So I don't know, for me, if it's a valid argument that we will be getting money, because we pushed back on opportunities to gain more and cost the city less. So I still think it should be a solid no.
All right, any other discussion, comments?
Your Honor,
Yes?
just curious what those examples are, because the amount of money to fight these tied to what's approximately, I think, $1 million in our city's favor for the projects that Councilwoman Aaron was talking about, that's pretty significant. And, you know, sometimes we have to make difficult decisions on council, and I understand that not everything's going to be uniform yes or uniform no. I voted no on the trash carts for the simple reason I thought we could spend $500,000 potentially in a better way, and we didn't have all the details, and so I voted against it. In this scenario, I'm looking at either we spend money, potentially even upwards of $500,000, or we receive upwards of $1 million that this council, I'm sure, will have no problem spending. And it's much better to do it that way, and in my opinion, than having to go and potentially raise taxes at a later date as the economy potentially goes into a recession. So that is my belief, and I'm supportive of it for those reasons.
All right, thank you. All right, sir. Is there any other discussion? Okay, sir, can you please leave the room if you're going to be speaking out of turn? You've had your public comment. Thank you. Is there any other comments from council? All right, seeing none, clerk, can you please do a roll call vote?
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Bliss.
Yes.
Councilman Fleming.
Yes.
Councilor Rohrbach.
No.
Councilman Soltis.
No.
Councilor Wright.
No.
Councilwoman Aaron.
Yes.
And Mayor Grasstein.
I vote yes, motion carries 4-0. Thank you. And that is it for the regular meeting. I invite closing comments, starting with Councilwoman Aaron.
Thank you, Your Honor. I said my spiel during the last motion. However, I just want everyone to please understand that being part of council, we have to make the tough decisions. People may not always agree with the decisions that we make, but sometimes those hard decisions are necessary when it involves more than one person. Part of being a leader is making the hard decisions. Part of parenting is making the hard decisions. So though everyone may not agree with a decision, please understand, it touches each and every last one of us up here when we are forced to make the decision that we know some may rally for us and some may rally against us. But knowing that we all can stand on the decision that we made, and we made the best decision for those we believe support us. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Bliss?
Yeah, Your Honor, completely different note. I am also a parent of a middle schooler, or two middle schoolers at John Page, who both walk to and from school often. And, you know, the accident there, I think, brought up to me something that we've talked about through the years. But I think it needs to be that area around 12 Mile needs to be a designated school zone with the appropriate signage, the appropriate reduction in speed limit, all of those things. I know it's not an easy fix. I know it's a very long-term type of thing, but we need to get that process going. It is just simply not okay. And I'd like it to be able to start sooner than where we have the crossing guard, because if this particular accident taught us anything, we need to expand that zone similar to how most other people do on a major road. Yeah, I get that John Page is tucked away in the neighborhood, but the amount of students walking across 12 Mile, we have to protect them. And having a crossing guard at Edward does not solve the issue as we've seen. And so I don't want to take what is a, catastrophic event in my heart, and my prayers go out to the family. But I think we also have known for many years that that is a high-traffic road with a lot of students walking across. And I think we need to make that designation, again, with all the appropriate signage and display and the reduction in speed limit when kids are walking to and from school. That, to me, is key, because it will reduce, if not the number of accidents, it'll certainly reduce the severity. And so I think we need to put some urgency on that. As we get into strategic planning, I would like that to be one of the top items that we look at. It is incredibly critical that we do that. I know typically we only get like one or maybe 1.5 major investments in a year, where we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. But hopefully we can look at that and be able to take care of it in addition to the trash carts that we've approved and other things in our budget. But yeah, let's make that a priority. The only other thing I have on my list is how great it was seeing everybody at the Civic Center complex grand opening last week. When that was on the schedule, and I think I'm not alone in this, I think many of us thought we'd have like 30 people here. And it was jam-packed. I mean, I waited outside an extra 10 minutes and went in through a different door because it was so jam-packed going through that main door and that main artery. When you walked in, you had the three-time Trail Tunes performing band, the Scott Verona Trio, playing some excellent jazz. You had some great interactive games where people are going around the entirety of the new complex. The new art on the walls, which is predominantly all for sale, all by residents in the city. Like, I think all of those things are cool, and they go well beyond just the building and the investment that we made. I think it showcased what having a civic center complex like this can be to the community and how we can bring people together. And I was shocked by the quantity, but I loved every minute of it. And I just appreciate everybody coming out, and I appreciate not just everybody on council here and everybody on staff right now that was there for the unveiling, but I truly appreciate everybody along the way. Our former DPS director, who was heavily involved in the project, our former library director, heavily involved in the project, former members of council, now Judge, then Mayor Brian Hartwell, Councilwoman Margene Scott, Councilman Bob Corbett, Councilman Bob Gettings. Like, the amount of time and effort that was put in from our staff and our council to be able to get us to that moment and to see that many people in our community enjoying it, it just felt really good. And so I'm thankful to everybody involved. And if you're watching this on YouTube at home and you haven't been here, you got to come check it out. Come during the day, and you can literally walk in between the buildings. There's an interconnectivity, active adult center. You can participate there as early as the age of 50. So I'd encourage everybody to do that. Check out our library, check out the new facility, and hopefully buy some art that's on the wall from a local artist. I think you'll enjoy it. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Council Wright?
Yes, I will concur with Councilman Bliss. So I serve on the Oakland County Prosecutors Racial Justice Advisory Board, and I say that because we had our meeting here in Madison Heights last week, and it was awesome for us as a city to host Karen McDonald's Racial Justice Advisory Board and to have it here and for them to see this facility. It really paints us in the light of being the city of progress, because all they kept saying was like, wow, I did not know you guys had this facility. This is fantastic. This is amazing. So I too say kudos to everyone involved. This is a I'm gonna call it a world-class facility. And so I'm glad that it's here in our city and we have something to show for it. So I also wanted to just remind everyone, along with some of the things we talked about with the voting, that earlier this week it was National Voter Registration Day. So if you're not registered to vote, register to vote. Up here we've had some healthy discussion, I would say. It did not get too heated, but we did disagree. But voting is your opportunity to share your opinion and to give your input. It is the most American thing you can do is vote. One of the other most American things you can do is stand up for your rights and your freedoms. And so I wore red today to support the members of our community who are standing up for their right to organize and their right for for fair pay. And so I wanted to stand with them today and wear red. On my two final things I wanted to just talk about is congratulations to the participants of Citizens Academy. I think our Citizens Academy is I wish there was a way to make that like a 101 for all residents, because I cannot tell you the vast amount of knowledge that you get compared to there should be like a test of here's how you think things work before you go to Citizens Academy versus how you know they work afterwards. And you can just compare oh, I thought this is how this was done. Oh, now I see how this is how it's done. This is why you can't just do what I want you to do immediately, because there's a process involved and there's a million different people that I didn't know about. So kudos to the folks that did it when they offered again in 2 years. I want to encourage every resident who can to participate in Citizens Academy, and congrats to those people who did it this year. Finally, I want to encourage everyone who can hear this, everyone that's watching, Mark Bliss, Councilman Bliss, Councilwoman Toya, the entire team to come out on October 14th. We are doing, the HRAC is doing Madison Heights Motorama and Smoke, weather permitting. It's going to be a car show and a cooking competition. It's going to be fantastic. Folks are already starting to register, and I didn't get a chance to pull up some of the team names, but some of the folks who compete in the barbecue competitions, they have team names like Blue Smoke and all other types of fun stuff. So come on out. If you have a car, listen, I know that it's toward the end of the car season. We've already established this, but if you have a cool car, bring it out. If you have a Bigfoot truck even, maybe bring that out. It's going to be a fun time. It's all about community. We might find a way to get a football game on. I know my Spartans aren't doing good, but come on out, and October 14th, register. Remember to be kind.
All right, thank you. Mr. Burns, anything from the attorneys this evening?
No report from the legal department.
Thank you. Mrs. Marsh?
No comment.
Anything from the clerk's office?
Yes. First, thank you very much for approving the interlocal agreement for the early voting site. We're going to navigate this together. The rules are still being established as we're about to approach an election, so I ask everybody to be patient. I just want to reiterate that the early voting site is going to, as of now, is going to be approved, is going to be at the Royal Oak Community Center, which is located at 13 Mile and Crooks. The dates for early voting are October 28th through November 5th, every day from 8:30 to 4:30, except on Thursdays when it'll be from noon to 8. In addition, you have the ability to come and get an absentee ballot or have an absentee ballot mailed to you from the city clerk's office. We have just received our ballots. We're in the process of testing them, and they'll be mailed out towards the end of this week. If you have not applied for an absentee ballot and you would like one, please feel free to call our office and we can send you an application, or you can download one online, or you can fill something out on the Secretary of State's website. If you have any questions, please feel free to call, and the election is November 7th. And all our polling locations will be open. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Counselor Rohrbach?
I just want to start by saying thank you to the members of the Human Relations and Equity Commission for your work on the plant sale this weekend. We were able to raise some funds, and I'm looking forward to finding ways to support community projects with those funds. And then I'm just going to say, make sure that when you are getting ready to vote this coming November or before, make sure that you're doing your research, figure out who you're voting for, and especially take a look at the charter amendments. There are some really good videos that our wonderful clerk put up, created describing the charter amendments that we're talking about. She's really goes in depth about what those are, what they mean. And so please take a look at those. Make sure that you are informed so that when you get your ballot or you walk into the voting booth, that you know what it is that you're reading. It's important, and it's not always easy to read it, digest, and vote right at the same time. So that's one of the reasons I enjoy absentee voting, because I can take it home and I can Google everybody, and even if I have never heard of them before, I can understand a little bit more. So that goes the same for these charter amendments that are going to be on our ballot. So make sure you take a look and really prepare yourself. Thanks.
All right, and then the clerk has one more thing.
That just reminded me that on the city's website, the sample ballots are available on the website. So if you want to research those charter amendments, they are available for you to look at.
All right, Councilman Fleming?
Yeah. On, was it Tuesday of last week, there was a Veterans Resource Fair that I helped get started, and where the Oakland County Community Health Network, and they came and put on a Veterans Resource Fair / Community Resource Fair. They had all sorts of resources for HUD was there, and mental help, for getting you help with counselors, and help with homelessness and all sorts of other things, along with the veterans organizations that were there to help out the veterans. And it's those kind of events that we can try to get the county and other organizations to be the host and get them to come to our city. I mean, that's one thing I try to do, is try to bring more of these organizations in-house, so that you don't have to travel far ways to go there, when you could be here locally and don't have to waste all your time trying to get somewhere and you have other important, trying to fit it into your busy schedules. Also, I'm going to be writing the Traffic Safety Committee in support of some changes that Nicole Fox here had mentioned, and is going to be sending to council. I too, like Mayor Pro Tem Bliss, I support the slowing down of the traffic on 12 Mile. Right now it's 40 miles an hour in traffic, and the speed limit should really be more or less, it should be 25 miles an hour around the school zone. One of the issues that we also have is that we have we don't have all the crossing guards that we probably do need. I know that I've seen some advertising for crossing guards. Everybody thinks that the crossing guard is just some type of, not so important job, but it's actually one of the most important jobs in the city, protecting school kids and anybody else who's crossing the street at that time. And so I hope that we can get the funds and also push forward to make those safety changes to make sure that we don't have these kind of horrendous accidents that happen to everybody. And that's also along with the traffic lighting on DeQuinder, which if you've gone down DeQuinder, it's super dark, very, very dark. We had I think there was a fatality that happened there last week or so, also on the same day. And I'm very happy that we're putting all the lights on our side of the street. So DeQuinder it's smoother, but it'll also be a lot brighter, and make sure that people are safer. And finally, I'm also in a union myself. I'm with the Communications Workers Unions of Workers of America. And so what I want to say is, if a lot of our neighbors here are striking. We have Blue Cross and Blue Shield. We have the UAW. The CWA, they want to cut down on our call centers. A lot of people have a lot of issues with their employment and fighting for their unions, or fighting for their right for fair wages, making sure that they can have affordable health care plans, and whatnot. And if you see your neighbors are struggling because they're not at work, because they're striking and fighting for their benefits, go ahead and support them, because, they may need, somebody to stand by them and support them mentally, but also with food or anything else that they may be missing because they're out there striking and not getting paid. So that's all I have for tonight.
All right, thank you. Councilman Soltis?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. So first of all, get your COVID shot. I know you don't want to hear that. I got it today. Ouch, it hurts. But tomorrow it'll be okay. I also, I want to give a shout out to City Manager Marsh for the fantastic job she's done since she become city manager. Especially single-handedly this new building and everything that came about it, and how we were going to do it, and she's very meticulous, and we appreciate all that. And so, each year, you sponsored that, was it the Citizens Academy, and she takes her time to do that, and it's, how many years has it been? Been doing it?
I've been doing it since 2018.
It's 2018. So. She does a fantastic job. We're very lucky to have her as our city manager. Also, as some council members were talking about, we do disagree. I mean, we're human and we have different thoughts on things, but we're still a sound council. We respect each other, and I think there's a lot of other councils out there that are more toxic. Just not too far away. And so I think Mark and I have been on for about 9 years, and we take pride that we are cohesive, and we don't cross that line where it becomes, ugly and stuff. So I'm proud to be part of the council. So, and I think that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so I've got a few things. One is, for those who aren't aware, we had a couple of traffic accidents last week, 2 weeks ago, and one was a fatality on DeQuinder, and hopefully the streetlights will help with that. A lot of these things, whatever was happening when someone was crossing. The other was a Page student, and as has been mentioned, I had Page students who. It really, as a parent, I think any parent who heard this story, just your gut, your heart. So definitely we need to be looking at that. I don't know the specifics of what's going on with the crossing guards. If you are interested, please reach out to the city, if you're interested in taking on that role. And yes, we need to do something about this. People are just speeding everywhere, and it's not just on the main streets, and it's not just in Madison Heights. So just remember to be a good neighbor. Don't speed in the residential, don't speed anywhere. You're speeding and you take your eyes off the road for just a second, and who knows what's going to happen. So please just be a good neighbor. Nothing is so important that you could end a life. Want to thank Councilman Fleming and the Crime Commission for hosting the K-9 event at Rosie's. They did that a couple weeks ago, and I think we were all obsessed with Trail Tunes because it was such a big, fun event. But the K-9 event was actually very educational, and it was really good. We had a good crowd there. I was surprised at the number of people who showed up. So just want to thank Councilman Fleming and the Crime Commission for that. And I want to give a big shout out to Sean Ballantyne for the opening last week of our grand opening. We've done 3 of them, I think, but this was really this was the big one. My mom, my 83-year-old mom, was in from Toronto, so I want to thank everybody who made her feel welcome. She met a couple of council members, she met staff, she met residents, and she said to me, she's like, I could feel the love, and it just that meant so much to me coming from my mom, because I'm a grown-up, and being far from my family. Being far from my mom, she still worries about me. It happens. It'll happen. If you have little kids, you'll still worry about them, So I want to thank everyone who came out for that. Hats off to Melissa Marsh. If you were there, you heard my speech where I said to Melissa 5 years ago in the parking lot, she was talking about how the Active Adult Center, there were these issues and whatever needed to be fixed. And I said, well, why don't we just build a new one here? The kind of thing that you say, but she actually took that And she started looking into it, and it became part of our strategic plan. And there were multiple meetings and multiple steps, and besides all the meetings that council had, she had, I don't know how many meetings. She had 3 pages worth of just the dates that she had meetings. So she did a fantastic job with that, and we now have a more energy efficient building. You know, city council was meeting twice a month in what is now the active adult lunchroom, which is a huge space that we never really needed that much space to use twice a month. So just a more efficient use of space. The active adult center is bigger. Just, I could go on and on. I think we've talked about this a lot, but if you have not come, please come and take a look, take a tour, because the space is just phenomenal. So Sean and Melissa, you guys did a great job. Can everyone just join me, since they're both here? Give them a round of applause. All right. And Adam is also here. So when I came onto council back in 2017, one of the first things I did was I rebooted the Environmental Citizens Committee, and I wanted to bring in trees, and I wanted to bring in composting, and I wanted to educate people about recycling and all these different things. And a lot of these things are happening. We've got like 500 trees or something planted in the last few years, and now the ECC is working on it's called the Bloom Project. I called it Adopt-A-Berm, and that got kicked out right away, but now it's the Bloom Project, and that's putting in different pollinators and gardens in where we have a lot of grass, and we're talking about different things that we can do with that. But one of the things that didn't happen, that kind of just got pushed aside, was the recycling. And I think we looked at getting recycling carts at one point, but Adam found a grant, and Adam worked really, really hard on this. So everyone, clapping for Adam. Thank you, Adam, for everything you did for that. I really do appreciate it. You know, voting is really important for those of you who aren't aware. I'm a naturalized citizen. I wasn't born in this country, and when I naturalized, I was told, you know, you can vote. Like, that is something that you can now do that you couldn't do yesterday. And so make sure you exercise that right to vote. And so I do. I voted in Canada, where I'm from, and I voted in every election. I turned 18 and I voted. It was just something that my family did. We all did. We all voted. And I just, you know, whether you agree or you disagree with something, your vote is your vote. So use that right. And then the last thing I want to mention is last year, the end of September or October, there was a bike race called Crank Cross that was over at Civic Park, and they're doing it again this weekend. It's Saturday at 9 o'clock. They put a whole obstacle course out on the hill, and you take your bike and you bike through it. So it's really cool. I am not participating, but I will be watching. So I invite you all to come and to see that. Our next meeting is going to be on October 9th, and the time is 8:53. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Good night.